inside your bedroom. We stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm.
Hey everyone, it's your girl, Kat, and we are back with another episode of Black Girl Love, the podcast. It's been a while since you've heard from me because I've been traveling. And if you didn't know, now you know. It's been a whirlwind of a journey, I must admit. I left Mexico in May, I think around the 5th or so. I don't really remember, honestly. Stayed in Atlanta with my mother for a while and then I went to Cape Town, South Africa. And I'm still traveling. I'm sitting right now in Istanbul, and I figured it was time to check back in and put up another podcast and just let you know what's been going on with your girl, amongst other things, of course. And I must admit that one of the things I wanted to talk about in on today's episode, because of course, Black Girl Love, we break it down into three segments: Black, Girl, and Love. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not gonna honestly say I'm gonna keep doing that because it may be a little bit difficult because some of them bleed over, and this is gonna be a prime example of a little bit of bleed over, if you will. So I'm black, and I'm a girl, and I'm traveling the world, right? And as I said, my first stop was Cape Town, South Africa. I went there with a group of people that I organized. If you didn't know, I'm a travel agency owner, so this was one of the trips that I put together. And we toured Cape Town, South Africa, and we also did a safari. Picture it, a group of 15 black women in Cape Town, South Africa. Picture it, a group of black women, 15 of us, on a safari, seeing elephants, lions, tigers, and bears. Not the tigers and not the bears, but you know what I'm saying. You get it. They did see lions and elephants and zebras and giraffes and so much more. And we also got to experience Cape Town in the winter because we went in June. And if you didn't know, now you know. Cape Town in June is wet, it's cool, it's gloomy, and it's perfect, honestly, for traveling to me. Especially if you're going to do a lot of walking, which we did, even though we had transport to everything. We had a bus, we had a tour guide. Shout out to A, she was great. Our bus driver was great. We saw all other things that you want to see, and we did this while being black. And I guess that's the focus, I didn't know what to expect in Cape Town. I knew we would be going to the motherland, right? To the home of our ancestors. Maybe not that particular region, you feel me? But the continent itself, right? Because I've done the ancestry thing, and I think I'm mostly Nigerian. Um, and, a lot of people are. Though I don't know why there aren't as many descendants from the Cape Town region because it does have a lot of ports. I mean, if you look at slavery and the history of it in the beginnings, and they always ship people, of course, from ports, seaports, and you ship them to other seaports. So you're going to be areas of the world where there's water, um, and the water's deep enough to float a boat in, pick people up, and move them out. And obviously they consider them really people, just cargo, money, all those things. But anyway, not going to get into that. I just wanted to know what it would be like to be on the continent for the first time. This is my first time uh, going to the motherland, to Africa, and I was honestly overwhelmed a little bit. I wanted to experience it all, but I was leading this group who also wanted to experience it. I think it was the first time, maybe for most of the group, to be on the continent. I think someone in the group may have been to another part of Africa because there's many many countries, and again we were in South Africa, and I chose South Africa because obviously I'm queer and the group is queer. Whatever definition they choose, I'm just going to label it as queer, LGBTQIA, and we'll call it that, right? So I want everybody to feel safe in that regard. Um, of course, there's crime in Cape Town, and we heard about that, so we were wary in that regard. But hey, every major city in the world has crime, and when you look like a tourist, You may get targeted more. And I'm not going to say that we blended in, but when you walk the streets and you are a majority, whew, the feeling that comes over you, right? And I didn't realize it until we had been there maybe like 4 or 5 days, maybe even more, before I was like, wait a minute. I have not seen anybody who doesn't look like me. And when I say look like me, I'm not saying they have my facial features and things like that. I'm really just saying, black. Can we say that? Just black, right? Everywhere we went, restaurants, cabs, again, our bus driver, our tour guide, who goes by colored. And I'm not going to get into all that. You have to do your research in that regard, in regards to South African people and their definition or use of the word colored. Um, it was just a great experience. Restaurants, the hotel that we were at, we were greeted by black people. Our everything, check in. We went to breakfast, went to dinner. I loved it. The experience black while traveling has been interesting for me because I've really never been anywhere where I'm not a minority, where I'm not stared at, where pictures are not taken of me, people are not reaching to touch my hair. None of that happened in South Africa. It was delicious. Can I use that word? It was delicious to just be in the moment and not be aware of your skin tone, right? And or to be aware of it and know that it's not a hindrance. You're not going to have any preconceived notions, right? You may, when you go in some parts of the world, and I'm just going to be honest with you, they really believe the hype that America and other countries have spread about us, that we're thieves, um, violent, all that stuff. I mean, just made up BS that America perpetrates to keep people suppressed, because that's what you have to do. When you want to suppress people, you have to make even the slightest thing or incident, you got to blow it out of proportion, right? So to be in the moment and to know that I'm just here, I am flowing. I look like everyone around me. I am blending in, right? And it's not just a neighborhood. It's not just the street. It's the city, right? And Cape Town has its issues, y'all. I'm not gonna sit here and try to glamorize it and make it like, ooh, black people just free over there. Nah, I'm not gonna even say that at all, because then we went to the safari, and that was a whole whoo woosah moment, because we went out of this massive "we are the world" moment, and then we went to the safari, and I felt like we had taken a step back in time. The entire management staff was white. All of the service workers were black, right? And there was just a noticeable difference in energy and vibe. And I was like, this feels like 1950s, 1940s America. And I wasn't there, but I've seen pictures, right? And I've read stuff. And that's the energy that it was giving. And it was sort of sad. I gotta admit, it was sad. Um, and the ladies that were with me, they all expressed the same thing. So it's not like it's just me and my opinion. This is the entire group. We were all like, this is just weird. And it was such a disconnect from what we had experienced leading up to this. Well, we had forgotten that we were black in the world. We were just travelers, seeing a part of the world that we had never seen before. But the breaks, man, when we got to the safari site, which we stayed at for 3 days, and I will say that I got sick. So I didn't really experience the entire thing. But from what I saw and the energy, and I did speak to, I'm gonna be honest with you, just so you know who I am. When we got there, the energy was off. There were some incidences and things, and I had to pull the manager aside and say, hey, we can't have this. I have a group of people here who are trying to enjoy themselves, and you're hindering that enjoyment, and we're just not going to have that. Let's all regroup and start afresh, anew. And to a certain extent, we did. But there was noticeable differences from when our group was there by themselves, because there was one day we were there by ourselves, and from when other groups came in that were not black. And I'm just going to say that were not black. So, with that being said, will we do a safari at that location again? Never. Never. Ever, 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 ever. Would I recommend anyone go there? No. And that's just being honest. Was it a bad experience? No, it wasn't horrible. But it was enough combined with the the freedom of Cape Town to say this is not what we want to do. And I'm not, if you follow me, you know where we were at. You've seen the pictures and the videos. And if you haven't followed me, then you probably should so you can see the pictures and videos. But yeah, it was all in all, on a scale of 1 to 10, the trip was like a 9 to me. Beautiful experience with the ladies who were traveling with me. Great food when we did venture outside of the hotel. It was great. We were on the run, y'all, a lot. So by the time we made it back to the hotel at night, which was a fantastic hotel, the Taj in Cape Town. If you ever in Cape Town, you need looking for a hotel recommendation. I definitely recommend that. A lot of us just went up to our rooms and went to bed, or we ordered room service. A couple times we ventured out to eat, and the food was good. Seafood, get you some if you're there. I had some shrimp dishes that were out of this world. But yeah, overall it was a 9.5, a solid 9, depending on the day. We were tired. We didn't have any major fights, and it was just good. It was just a good trip. And I'm looking forward to the next trip. We're going to be doing a cruise next year for my birthday. So if you want to tag along with that, I'll let you girl. And then we're going to do another trip too. So just keep following me and we'll see how it goes. And so this is where I said the bleed over occurs. I'm gonna pause it and come back a little bit.
inside your bed.
All right, we are back with part two of the Black Girl Love podcast. First part of the podcast, we talked about black while traveling from my perspective. And I also want to add to that, of course, I'm a woman, right? I'm a girl. I don't mind the word girl. I think some people do. I don't. But I realized some things while traveling as a black woman, especially for the amount of traveling that I'm doing right now. I'm seeing myself in a different light, right? And I'm allowing myself more freedom to be me, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not limiting the possibilities. And I'm also acknowledging, some things that I'm possibly doing wrong. I traveled the first part of my journey with 15 people. Some of them I knew, some of them I did not know, and that was beautiful in itself. Dealing with personalities and seeing things from other people's point of view and acknowledging those points of views while still maintaining my truth, my honesty about things. And that things, I mean, we're just looking at the water, and what I see is not the same as a person who's standing next to me. I also had some time to be introspective and to look at my life for the last year or so. I realized that I made a series of mistakes. And one of those, mistakes was, there's, personal things with my marriage, um, and things that I didn't do right within that. And we're not talking about cheating and things like that. I'm too old for all that shit. Just decisions that I made. If I had the time, if we had a reverse or rewind button, the ways I would say yes versus no, the energy that I would give, because I was giving it to these people on this trip. I was trying to be authentic. I was trying to be the cat that I used to be because I had changed while we were living abroad. I had honestly become very depressed because of a lot of reasons, and I couldn't really pinpoint what it was. Just knowing that I sat with myself for a few months by myself and just thought. And then I started traveling again. I'm like, yeah, like where you're saying yes now, you could have said yes then. Where you're saying no now, you could have said no then. And maybe things would be different. And that's harsh. That's a harsh reality to come to. And quickly, it came to me very quickly, right? But I had promised myself before I started this journey, this traveling journey, that I would be open to everything. there would be not too many no's, right? And that's for everything, food, clothing, and just doing things. So the second part of my journey, I've been in Istanbul, and I've been here for a little over 3 weeks. It was only supposed to be about 2.5 weeks, but I got sick in Cape Town, and then I got here, and then one of my teeth was upset. I went to the dentist, and I needed a root canal, so that extended my trip because hey, what we did not know was there was a major holiday occurring in Istanbul that was going to affect everything for about 7 days. So my dentist was like, I'm not going to be in the office. But right after the holiday's over, we can finish up this root canal. And I was like, perfect. That works for me. That means I just got to extend myself. And that's okay because Istanbul is a beautiful city to see for as long as you need to. And so I was here with a friend, though, a friend who I hadn't seen in a few years. Um, and it was really the first time that we've traveled together solo. When I say solo, just us two, because she was actually last time I saw her was in Malaysia where I did another group trip, and she came along on that trip to assist me and my wife at the time. So because and the reason why I think I brought her because I knew that she was open to things, right, and that she would make me get out of my comfort zone. But I also thought she would the things I didn't want to do, she would be helpful in doing, if that makes any sense. So this trip, I was like, I'm open to whatever you want to do, and it's I've never been here before. I'm not doing a lot of research. I just want to go with the flow, and whatever flow that is. And so she had a list of things she wanted to do, and every day it was yes, except for the days I just was tired, physically tired, because what you don't know about Istanbul, it is a city of up and down mountain trails. If you ask me, you can tell the city is old and it was built into the mountains. And it's just you will walk, but not only will you will walk uphill, you will walk downhill, and my knees and my back were like, "Girl, what is you doing?" And some days I just like physically could not. We were averaging about 5 to 6 miles every day at one point, just walking. And not just saying walking through the sights. I'm saying getting to the bus stops and you know navigating that, and then finally getting to wherever you're going, and then realizing you still have to walk and walk and walk and walk. And I get it. I get it. It's part of travel, right? We did walking in Cape Town, but nowhere near as much as we've done it here. But she and I had a conflict at one point because I was like, where I had gotten us an Airbnb was really in a neighborhood, like not really in the heart of everything. And I picked based off my budget because I knew public transportation would be there. And I've been living overseas for since 2019. I always been able to jump in a cab and run with it, right? So I expected the same here. I didn't realize the cabs here suck, like literally suck. So anyway, she gets there. We're trying to get to places, and cabs are just not working out. So we figure out the bus station routes and things, and the nearest bus station downhill. And when I say downhill, I mean a serious incline, like you bracing your body so it doesn't fall forward incline. So we did that, and then one day we were going somewhere, and I was like, let's catch a cab to the bus station because it was like a 8 to 10 minute walk. I said she better get a cab, and then from there we'll go on the bus. Right? I just didn't want to walk it. It's hot. My knees are hurting, and I didn't realize she didn't want to do that because in her mind she wanted to do things the way she wanted to do. I thought it was a compromise, right? Because I knew it was going to be hard to get a cab from our location to where we wanted to go. So I thought we'll meet in the middle because she likes public transportation and she likes walking. Because she lives in Europe, so it was great for her, not so great for me. And so we're starting our journey. We get the cab, we get to the bus stop, we get on the bus, and our energies our energies aren't flowing. So I'm like, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing. And I was like, no, what's wrong? So she told me, and in the middle of her telling me, she realized it's not you, it's me. I just want things my way. And I was like, yeah, I get it. I said, but when I started this journey, I knew I was going to have to compromise, and I was okay with that. I said, but my body's telling me when I can and when I can't compromise. And if you don't know, I have bad knees, right? I'm probably end up with knee surgery here sooner than later. And I said, I can't do what you do, and I'm okay with that because I'm still doing what you want to do. We're just gonna get there in different routes. And she's like, you're right. So I mean, but those are the things, right? The life of living, if you will, that's interesting. And I realized that I wasn't doing that in the past. It was always my way or the highway. And hadn't realized how selfish I had become until I was trying to follow another person or work with another person, rather, that wasn't my wife. And, obviously I compromised in the group trip, you know, because I'm trying to make everybody happy. They paid me good money to be happy on this trip, so I'm gonna make them happy. My friend and I, we're even footing. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, but I still want to compromise. I still want to make this the best trip that we can have, and we did. It was a fantastic trip. Istanbul owes me nothing. When I tell you, it owes me nothing at this point, except some new knees. I need new knees, a new bag, right, and some deodorant because baby, it's hot. When we got here, it was sort of cool the first couple of days, and I don't know what happened after that. Summer came. I would never come to Istanbul in the summer. I would come here if you got bad knees, being brutally honest. If if you walk with the cane, this is not the city for you, love. This is not the city for you. But I'm gonna get into that in another podcast. It won't be today. So yeah, that's the girl part of Black Girl Love in this week's episode. You ready for the third and final part? I know you are. Come on, come on, let's get
inside
into
your
it.
bedroom. We stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm.
All right, y'all, we are at the last part of Black Girl Love podcast. And as always, I am your host, Kat Williams. If you've listened this far, you know that. But hey, if you just skipped ahead, here's an intro. I'm Kat. Nice to have you here. So, y'all, I've been traveling since June 1st, actually. And here we are into July. And I still have travels ahead of me. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, or one of the things that I love about traveling, is seeing how everyday life is different in other parts of the world. And you're like, everyday life, people still go to work, they come home, they cook, they clean, that's the same. It is. That part is the same no matter where you're at, right? Well, and it's, if you work or if you don't work, whatever. But, you do those things. But the part that I absolutely love about Europe, and I've been to a couple other places in Europe, is the cafe life. And you're going like cafe life, yeah, where you walk down streets and boulevards and all the restaurants or coffee houses, tea houses, even, bakeries have tables outside or inside where you can sit for however long you want to and you order a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a little treat, a little sweet, a little savory, and you sit with your friends or by yourself, your family, and you talk or you don't talk, You people watch, you enjoy the world around you. And it's in every neighborhood. No matter how bad or good, there's still going to be cafes. And people are still going to sit and indulge in a moment. Take a pause, if you will, and just be. And I absolutely love that. And I'm envious every time I walk down the street and I see these tables. I want to sit at them all. I want to stop. I want to pause. I want to look around. You're right. I love people watching. People watching is fascinating. I'm not one of those people watchers who makes up stories about people. No, I just like to see them in the moment, what they're doing, how I'm perceiving what they're doing, that type of thing. I know some people make up these elaborate novels based off of the people they're watching. I ain't got all that type of energy, but I will sit and talk about you right there in the moment, good, bad, or indifferent, But since we've been on this journey, especially in Istanbul, every time we walk out the door, we eventually end up at a cafe, if not two throughout. We'll go to something and then at the end of that, we'll go and sit at a cafe. Then we'll go to the next part. and then we'll sit at another cafe, you know. And I've also gotten into Turkish tea, and I drink it every day, probably 3 times a day. And it's not really caffeinated to me, or maybe I'm getting the decaffeinated kind, because that was my main worry at first. But it's such a part of the social construct here, right? You can get tea every place that serves a beverage. You will be able to get some tea, and they have these little fluted glasses, and you sit and you sip and you talk and smoke because they smoke here. And I had to let go of that too, y'all, because in America we don't smoke in the restaurants no more, but they do here. And of course, they're going to smoke at the outside cafes. If there's a table on the sidewalk, somebody's going to smoke. And I get it. Hey, that's what you do. I ain't pointing the finger. I'm just observing. But yeah, I absolutely freaking love it. And I think what it does is it gives you a sense of community, right? Because America doesn't do that. We love to live in suburbia where the nearest store you have to have a car to get to, right? The nearest coffee shop you have to have a car to get to. And then when you get to said coffee shop, you're there rarely are there tables where you can sit outside and chi it up, right? But you go inside, everybody's sitting there, and they're usually on their laptops. Here, you don't see that. They're not on their laptops. They're there to be in the moment with whoever they're there with, if they're with people, because there's quite a few solo people too. But you're still there in the moment. Even the solo people don't have laptops out, right? They're sitting there, people watching, sipping on their tea or their coffee, um, and they're having a blast doing so. And people walking by, you feel the energy of the city, you feel a connection. And America doesn't have that connection. We're just stop and go, stop and go. And here is more of a flow, a ebb, if you will. And I love it. I love the pause that you take when you sit at a cafe. Nobody's rushing you. Nobody's trying to turn the seat over. They're not trying to upsell you. Do you want tea? You can go and sit somewhere and somebody they might not even approach you, right? Until you signal that you want some assistance. I love that too. And then after you get assistance and you get what you ordered, tea, coffee, you can sit there for an hour or two and they won't bother you. Nobody cares because it's the community. It's your neighborhood. And people do it in their neighborhood. They go and sit in their neighborhood. So you recognize your neighbors. You recognize the energy that's being given and what's being shared. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss that. Because I saw it in Asia. And I've obviously seen it on this journey. And I expect to continue it through the next countries that I go to. I didn't see it as much as Mexico, so I sort of gotten away from it. Though I will say that in Mexico, you can sit down at a restaurant and nobody's gonna rush you, right? In America, they trying. I'm not dogging America. I'm just pointing out the subtle differences or the sledgehammer differences, whichever one you want to call it. Because in America, you will be rushed a little bit. You get in, the waiter's gonna bring you the menu, ask you what you want to drink, and then they're gonna hover a little bit. I love the customer service that I've experienced so far. And by customer service, I mean you leave me alone. I order what I want to order. You bring it, go about your business, right? In America, they come back and check on you. How was it? I ate it. It's gone, right? They don't check on you here. If you want them, you hold your hand up, you say hello, pardon, and they come to you. But not in America because they want you to be done. They want you to get in and get out. Here, a tea session could take literally 2 hours. And you may have 2 cups of tea. And that's it. I may not order anything else. And I am no less worthy of being in that establishment than the table next to me, which orders 50 teas, or food, or, other things. We are still all part of this moment. And we had some beautiful moments traveling so far. Just beautiful moments of being in the moment. Um, just sitting and being quiet and being still. Just sipping the hot beverage or the cold beverage. and just watching life, you know. And I am going to really miss that going back to the States for however long I stay in the States. Not for long, not for long. But yeah, I wish my mother could come. I think she would love it, you know. I was telling her about it. I said, you would love Istanbul. You wouldn't love the hills, but she would love the cafe setting, I think. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's just for me. Maybe it's me and my personal thought process of it all. How much I am just enjoying the moment. It's been great, y'all. And I still have two more countries to go to. You should follow me to see where I'm going next. I would tell you, but then you wouldn't follow me because then you would know. But tomorrow I fly. I leave Istanbul for my next part of my journey. And I'm excited to see the cat that's going to end this journey, right? Where I'm going to be at mentally, emotionally, even physically. Because, man, I am walking miles, y'all. Your girl is doing good. You know, my lungs are doing a little bit better. I got sick in Cape Town, so I was really worried. And I'm not gonna lie, the first few days in Turkey were hard on you, on a girl. But I'm better now, and I'm good. You know, I'm just good. This is Black Girl Love, y'all, the podcast. I'm your host, Cat Williams. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be back next week because I'm still traveling, but I'll be back. I'll be back.
Lost in the rhythm. Physical side.